Now, Brother Wilkins has been waiting for you since... Brother Wilkins has been waiting for you since 4 o'clock. Listen. It takes 10 minutes to 4. Listen. It takes 10 minutes to 4.
Listen, nigga. You boys niggas got to come to me to borrow some money.
We've been waiting for you since 4 o'clock.
Well, you have to rely on Ray Edmonds.
Well, I understand. And he was getting ready to leave, and I wouldn't let him go.
He said, I got money, and he put his pocketbook out and show all this money. He said, man, you know, people got to come to me because I didn't have much money.
Come on, they can't hold you here now. Brother Wilkins got to go.
Alpha Gamma Kappa. We going to go see it.
I'll call you sometime.
Wait a minute. How you doing? Let's take it inside. How you doing? Get over here. Let me get a picture. Oh my God. But he said he got to go now. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. You Brother Smith in Orlando.
Yeah,
I was involved with Jack Field. Jamaica. That's something. Okay. That's come on. Okay.
Please stand up. Okay, we can read.
Take a little bit of it. All the way in like this.
I know we Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bonner, Professor, Brother Norville Smith. What I'd like is a little quick receiving line, and then we're going to have some words, a few words, and then we're going to get down to what we do best at Cheyney. You all know.
I remember you. I remember you. I'm going to talk about all this.
He's doing well.
And you taking good care of you. Did you wear those balls in the back?
No, her hair is still nice, and it's treated like a princess.
Well, I'm great. And I saw your picture in the movie journey. And I said, well, he's possible.
Yes, you know I moved on.
Beautiful. Star, yeah. How are you? I haven't seen you since when you brought your wife and kids down at the company. Are you still operating? Are you still operating as you used to?
Well, only a little bit.
Oh, good. But you look like the Lord has done good work. I may talk about you in the next show.
Okay. I hope I was a good student.
We can talk about students.
We talk about extracurricular. I told my friend Bill Stevens about to get a picture of this black and white here just in case they want to do something with the journal.
Oh,
How you say it?
How you doing? And I won't be late coming back. With these waves, you know, are you going to be able to stay a while?
Hey, my brother, how are you?
What you see is what you get. I'm kind of old now, but I'm saying you.
VCR. I need to reprint I'm coming in.
what I have, I'm glad to hear you.
I just mentioned
No, and that one know you are, Sherman. And you don't need to know. And you don't need to know. So keep on moving, Sherman. No. Hey, sounds like Norville. Okay, Sherman, move on. Let's go, Sherman. Move on, Sherman. Keep moving, Sherman. What you doing in the line? Hey, what you doing in the line? We remember this the other day. We was Catholic. We throwed us in the river. Okay, how you move on to? Move on, Harold. Hey, Charles, come on. Charles, you say what they do. I know the time. We all shared the same shit. We already took your picture, Harold. Take it. God bless you. Y'all understand. You brought her? But I mean, you got a chance. She's here. I understand. She's here. Oh, no. Oh, yes. Oh, no. First time, right? So, Adam, I want to see you right away. Hey, how you doing?
Use it, Harris. Use it. Use it, Harris.
Where's the boat? I got the hotel. Where's the boat? What's she doing? Tell it all. Tell it all. Where's the boat? What? Did she bring him a boat? No, that's the lady. Oh, she never got it. She's over sitting there.
You haven't seen this.
Well, yeah, you know, actually, it's not so much what she's doing on
You're still talking in riddles and questions. You always ask a question. If you drove no more time.
Listen, I just knew I was going to see
I'm amazed that they
Did you tell me I called you this morning? And I'll get back to you again. And you here, this is incredible. Oh, I remember you in that class, and I understand you I'm here because part of your voting. How are we doing in soccer? I said, "Good girl, don't be there." He said, "Yeah." I'll wait for that.
That's butter.
I remember your Christmas card. You were one of the latest ones. And I was like, somebody came over and then I heard you. I said, now, and when I got your card, I said,
She didn't think women were going to be. I said, Cindy, you ought to come anyway. I know that. She's a good member,
That's current. That's current.
Well, we tried to tell you that before. Now you know, man.
We're going to have a very, very brief program, except for the part where Brother Smith talks, because he can have as much time as he wants. Everybody else will keep theirs very, very short. I'll still get the capital salute.
Okay, so I'm going to let you have the floor.
No, don't you move. You stay right there.
Speaking for the younger,
And I'm being kind.
and I must say I haven't used that expression in many years. I thought about you a few weeks ago, Professor Smith. I was at a function where Judge Higginbotham spoke, and he was talking to some young African-American law students. and was comparing their struggle with the struggle that he undertook when he was coming up. And he compared the struggle that they had with his as hills for them and mountains for him. And there's so many of us who have faced mountains as we came to Cheyney, those such as myself, who came not knowing where my next tank of gasoline would come from, not knowing what would wait for me at Cheyney. But we're all fortunate enough to have you there to motivate us. Indeed, you taught me how to think. Dr. Oliver taught me how to communicate. You taught me how to think. You introduced me to theorists such as Locke, Nietzsche, Thoreau, and I will forever be thankful. You are a person who has motivated many, touched the lives of many, and guided the careers of many more. It's a pleasure to be here and to hold you in my arms.
Brother Cook. Next.
Careful how you call me brother, Wendell. People might think I know you.
Ashley, I'm glad you came back up here. I didn't expect you. You didn't expect me a lot of places you found me.
I just want to say that, and I say this to everybody else, saluting Dean, that a week ago, Monday a week ago, I had the opportunity to visit Cheyney. And I use the word opportunity in this instance loosely, because one of the things I did as an interested alumnus was to walk through the men's dormitories just to see the general condition and to get a feel for the atmosphere and the spirit. And as I was going from room to room, I said to myself, Dean Norville Smith is needed here for about a month. I think that the one thing that Dean made sure that everybody learned, at least those who lived in Burley Hall, was how to make your bed, how to clean up your room, and how to empty your trash basket. Because if you didn't do those things, he would turn your bed upside down, he would empty your trash basket upside down, and he might put a lock on your door. The main thing out of that is that it helped to develop some of the character that many of us have today. As I walked around on the campus last week, I said, if Dean Smith could be here for about a month, just emptying trash baskets and turning over beds, that we'd have a better quality of student coming out of Cheyney. I'm sure that everybody here certainly appreciates all the things that Dean did, and not only as Dean of Men, where he kept us together. And I think that the real birth of Gamma Omega was because of the role model that Dean Smith portrayed in front of us. When Jimmy Bates one day asked me if I was still interested in pledging Kappa, and I said, I don't know, I remember him saying, you know, Dean Smith is a Kappa, and I said, well, I guess that seals it. I don't have much, there's not much else I can do. So, Dean, I want to congratulate you for all that you have done for so many through the years, and I say that from the bottom of my heart. You made men out of boys, and all of us have appreciated your guidance and tutelage, even though you only gave me a B in even though I earned a C and got a B in government.
Well, good to see you. You know, I came to the Union during the Depression years. And in those days, there were a few people to inspire us greatly beyond the president. One of them was you. You inspired us to be men and to respect the dignity of women and our minds. You challenged us with your command of Latin and your command of the sciences that you were familiar with. But more than that, you were the kind of man who had the stature that we respected as a man. And because of that, and walking in your presence, we stood a little higher and breathed a little easier because Norville was there. Yes. So when I got a call the other day from Brother Smith saying, Norville, can you come? I said, I will be there because my days are thinning down now. And I want to see the great ones of my past because you are part of what I am today. God bless you and heaven smile upon you.
Laverne. Laverne.
Well, at 12 o'clock last night, Carol called me and told me that you were in town and said that you wanted to see me, and I wouldn't have missed it for the world. I wanted to buy you a ticket for you and your wife to go on a cruise, but as I usually am, I was going to my Indian name Running Love. So
You got some plastic. We're not gonna let you go.
So what I decided to do, my brother 10 years ago retired, and I said to him, Tommy, what are you going to do? You're so young to retire now. He said, I'm going to come home and make boats. Well, I said, oh my goodness, I could see myself cruising all around the world. But he meant he was going to make model sailboats. So I said, oh my, well, we won't cruise on that. So I didn't have money to buy you a ticket. So I said, well, I know what I'll do. I'll call my brother and get Norville one of those boats. I said, and one day he might be sitting in his living room and become motivated and call his travel agent and spend his money and buy a boat.
Believe that. I heard it. Get him the boat. Hold it.
But I want to tell you a serious side of these boats. They motivate people. They inspire people. I've taken them to sick people in hospitals, and they can use their imagination. And one day I said, well, I'm going to write some words the way the boat has inspired me, and I want to share them with you. Keep on sailing. Our lives are like a ship. We must navigate them. It is easy to sail when the waters are still, but when the storms come, that's when our navigating skills are tested. You being who you are realized many years ago there would be storms. So you chose a masterful captain to sail along with you, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So no matter what the sailing conditions, you keep on sailing. We hope your sailing days will be sunny skies, moonlit nights, in waters peaceful, calm, and bright. But if the storm winds begin to blow, the captain you have chosen is near. Keep your hands on the wheel and sail on without fear. When the storms of life are raging, Dean, keep on sailing. And just say, Jesus, Savior, pilot me on life's tempestuous sea. Continue to do what you have for many, many years. Throughout the lifeline along the dark waves, someone is still sinking today. Dean, keep on sailing. We know you can't sail forevermore, but sail on and on until our master says, cast down your anchor and step ashore. Keep on sailing.
Hold that right there.
I love you so much.
Hold it.
Okay.
Hold it. Right there. Hold it. Take. Okay.
Good time.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'll take it.
Brother Candy?
How about unsuspected places?
It's going to be very difficult to try to retread most of what has already been said to you, so I'll say ditto. But more importantly, Men of BACA, who of course are all Kappa members for Gamma Omega, remember you as two different people. One, you were the Dean of Men, especially of Burley Hall. But many people may have forgotten you were also the chapter advisor for many, many years. And so it was that in mind when we heard that you were coming here to Philadelphia to join with us and break bread and do whatever else we used to do when we were younger. We thought that we would give you something to take back with you so that you never forget it, even if that was even possible. So I'd like to present to you, and I'd like to read Men of BACA's Distinguished Service Award. You're the first. You're the first. Presented to Norville L. Smith, former Dean of Men, Cheyney University, former chapter advisor, Gamma Omega, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, November 29th, 1992. My brother.
I want a picture. There you go.
Come closer.
Oh, good, good find. This is the first time we've had like this.
Brother?
Don't get too close.
Okay. Any more cameras, man?
If there's, at this time, there's anybody else who has anything they would like to say, either memory or words of praise, well wish, whatever.
I do.
Just come up. No, we're going to stand up because that way it'll be brief. Oh, no, Brother Smith's fine. Brother Smith's fine. He'll tell you when he wants to sit down. He'll tell you. Listen, let me tell you, he's enjoying this. He is enjoying this. Ted?
Thank you very much. Very quickly, I just want to say that I believe I knew Brother Smith earlier than anyone in here, with maybe, even before Wash.
Yes.
I attended Sunnycrest.
You want to do that.
I attended
One of those kids, he had us up there helping.
That was our assignment. You sent us up there. What are you talking about? We sent y'all home crying too. I met Brother Smith when I used to run across campus going over to Compton School, and we'd play in the hallways and everything, and he'd come and get us out of there. And so I really want to say that this past summer, my family and I had the opportunity of stopping by and seeing his lovely wife and spending a half a day with him. And when I heard he was coming up here, and we knew that this was the first time in 6 years, something had to be done. And I think that this is an example of the type of influence that Brother Smith has had over many of us. There are brothers who are not even here this evening who knows he's here, but they're here in spirit. And I just want to say, Brother Smith, that this is just a small token of thank you from all of us, and from those brothers who are not here, they asked me to give their regards to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Ted, in his newfound modesty as executive secretary, really should take most of the credit because he put this together. He was the motivating and driving force to this illustrious and joyous occasion, and I think he deserves a round of applause. Now, if there's anybody else who has a memory or anything else they'd like to share about or with Professor Smith, you've got about 10 seconds apiece.
I'll only need 10. On behalf of a group of folks who in 1951 began their experience at Cheyney, the time that you came, and those guys who lived with you and Mrs. Smith in Tanglewood, where the beds got unmade and the bottles got dumped and the trash got... We found out it was Ted Irwin who did it, by the way. It was not you. There are many of them who wanted to be here today and who could not. And for them, I want to express to you, I thank you for your guidance and your diligence and your patience with us over those years and those times at Tanglewood when the heat wasn't there and the water didn't get hot.
Right.
But you made men out of us, as someone said earlier, and we appreciate it. And we say to you,
Thank you very much.
Brother Smith, there's something very special that you did for a lot of us. You did something in the early years of Kappa Alpha Psi. In the early 50s, say from 54 on, when the chapter of Gamma Omega chapter initiated 7 men, and we got into some trouble. You remember the weekend with Janice Wilkin, past Grand Pole Mark, Stud Green, came on the campus. You made the difference in the survival of Gamma Omega chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi. You taught us true brotherhood and how to live with ourselves and with others. And we thank you very deeply from the bottom of our heart that this chapter still stands today. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. Brother Smith, you have the floor.
Let me get my notes. Maybe I left them upstairs where I can remember some of them anyway. But let me just try one more place for them.
Look at Butel's pocket.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I want to thank very much the 3 sponsoring organizations that brought me here for this occasion. The Philadelphia chapter, the Norristown chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi, and the Men of BACA. I don't know what some of you know or not. I came up here for this weekend for my 60th high school reunion out of a New Jersey high school. 1933 to 1963. At that time, I was only about, I guess, about 140 pounds. Played center on the first team. Was on track, but not running. I did the discus and the high jump. I graduated with honors and won the Latin prize for that year. And we won't go into long, as Whitlock said, don't go make it too long. But I'm just mentioning why I came first.
You can make it as long as you want.
I don't want to do that too much. So what happens when I told some members that I was coming for that affair, all of this what you see is icing on the cake for me. I had no idea of the outward expressions of joy that I get from hearing all these remarks around here. And I know I will go home rejoicing, effervescent, and whatnot. So right now I want to thank all of you who are here, personally and group-wise, for this affair. As I look at you all now, some of you wearing $200 suits, and at that time, you didn't, some of the members didn't even have a full suit. When we lived in Burley Hall, the first year we came down to Burley Hall, women were on the 2nd and 3rd floor, and men were on the 1st floor. And they were supposed to have bells that worked between the 1st and the 2nd floor, but they never worked. The girls were always using the hose to spray the fellas trying to get upstairs. And that was an interesting experience for me and all the persons that are involved, and I won't go into details, but there are a few people that I need to single out in terms of some of the things that happened. You distinguished men now, looking well-groomed with beautiful ladies on your arm. If you were in E. Franklin Frazier's area, you'd be called the black bourgeoisie, but that's a passé term now. But you're the black middle class, looking good, acting good, prosperous, and I'm glad to see all of you. But I'm just going to remember this on 1 or 2 things when you were in the past. I read in the Tribune this week, a distinguished minister had served 25 years in the ministry. And I remember, when I read this to my wife, I said, "You remember this person?" She said, "Yeah." Because she said, my wife's housekeeper, so she said, those old cabinets took all the sheets and tried to make them up for homecoming with the blue and white. I know those sorry cabinets. And this minister who is serving his 25th anniversary now is a stroller. And he stayed up all night long, and that float looked beautiful. But the day of the homecoming and whatnot, that float didn't get on the travel route. It never got because they couldn't move it. It worked all night on, and this distinguished minister cried after that because he put a lot of work in. I won't name anybody. They couldn't. Yeah.
Didn't have enough to drive it. Oh, that's right.
I think Brother Whitlock made this comment. I was faculty advisor to the Gamma Omega chapter on campus. And as a result, I would come down and stay with the fellows to about 11 o'clock at night, you know, make sure that they wouldn't do anything wrong. And those Gamma Omega fellows would say, "Thank you, Dean, for coming." Next day I heard that as soon as I left, they took her right back out. I'm just going to make 1 or 2 other comments here. One of your distinguished members now is a very great VIP. When Cheyney had a snowstorm at Cheyney, commuters could not get out, the dormitories were closed and crowded, and through the grapevine, that could nobody tell, one of our distinguished members now enjoyed himself in the women's dormitory over the weekend.
I don't know who that was.
So later on, when he came back to the campus, he didn't know we knew because it was secret, you see. So I said, now which one of these rooms did you enjoy yourself in? I'll just let you run, let your minds run away you want to run. On Cheyney's campus, there's a tunnel running. Tunnel running from the buildings to the women's dormitories. I understand it was made for the Underground Railroad. That was its original purpose. But one of our distinguished members and others decided to use this as a means of other extracurricular activities. And the young ladies were in cahoots. They kept their doors, which were supposed to be slammed, they let that go ajar. So I understand one night, Batman with his mask and all went down into the tunnel to make his journey up through Emlyn, Yarnell, and the other dorm, and he ran into the Dean of Women. And I don't know what happened after that, but every time I see that young man now who is a distinguished person with the highest academic degree with I don't call any names, I'll let you know. Very friendly with Cook. Yeah. I'm going to close now after I find one or two other little things I thought I might have heard. Now this doesn't involve a Kappa, but one time I was teaching a class in speech, and I said to the members, I said, when you go up to make your speech, I want you to have your outline to talk from. This young man went up, and he was talking glibly, and two or three girls at the front row were just laughing out loud. So when after the speech was over, he was supposed to turn in his outline. He had nothing on the paper. This one you'll relish. Mrs. Dudley and I were faculty sponsors to the senior class for a while. And we you know, Ms. Dudley, don't you, how strong and secure she is. We went to the, what we call a dress rehearsal on the night before the affair in Pennsylvania Hall. We heard the whole thing. We read the class will and testament, checking for all things and every whatnot. We left there about 11 o'clock. Ms. Dudley and I were very happy because the next night was the class night. We sat down, Mrs. Dudley and I, at class night, and when the curtains parted, we saw nothing that we had seen before. Nothing. Furniture was changed and everything else. And they willed certain people of the faculty wigs, and they willed to some girls that remained on campus, the boyfriends were that left. We were going to leave all that out. And the kids were turning around looking at Ms. Dudley and I. We just didn't let us phase them. So what happened after it was over, the boys would say, how are you, Dean? I said, fine. Ms. Dudley and I walked out of Pennsylvania Hall, and we didn't say a word. When we got out, we laughed like I keep track of many of you, and I want to congratulate. The last thing I saw, or I'll put it this way, when the Kappa Journal comes out, I see distinguished pictures of father and sons, and 4 or 5 from this group I've seen. And it makes me feel good that here are young men who are aspiring and doing well, seeing that their sons become Kappas indirectly or directly. And this is very well. And how distinguished you're looking now, and you're measuring up to everything that we, as Miss Gould used to say, they're coming out all right. I think these are the most things that I can tell. All of you here, I'm surprised at everybody who came up. I just didn't know some persons were coming. This is the high water mark of my coming back during these years. I appreciate every word of it. I will remember it for the rest of my life. And you people who came made me feel so good to know that I did make a part of your lives and whatnot. Thank you very much.
Brother Smith, heeding my own suggestion at the beginning of the ceremony, I will make my comments brief. It has all been said, except we love you.
Any ginger ale or whatnot.
Folks, a minute. Brothers, in honor of our good brother, why don't we sing the hymn? We're going to sing the cap of hymn, brother. Why don't we sing the hymn?
I told my brother, it's coming to
True manliness, fidelity, thou ever dost impart, the source of our delights and joys, and happiness thou from thee will never part. Now in the days of happiness, of pleasure and good cheer, I'll lift a cup of joy and health to every member here, to those who love and toil and strove for thee in our years. I give for honor and repent our noble brothers dear. I give for honor and repent our noble brothers dear. When all our student days are done, we will honor, love, and sing thy praises o'er and o'er. We'll live for thee, we'll strive for thee, we'll all thy ways adore. We'll long for thee and toil until we reach that golden shore.